What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Inside the Horseshoe podcast. I am Matt, and we got some special guests here today. First off, I'm going to introduce the man right next to me, right there. It's Derek Larger. Derek, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing really, really good, man. Excited for the show, and we got another guy here who is also making his debut on the show, and his name is Sam Sinclair. Sam, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Matt. And Derek, always great to talk to you, man. It's been
Yeah,
forever since
absolutely,
we've
man.
talked, I know.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time, long time.
Absolutely. So, just to let you guys know what we're going to be talking about in the show today, we're going to talk about the unfortunate news about Julian Blackmon, and we're going to kind of give our thoughts on that, what the Colts are going to do potentially, because we're pretty limited in that position. Then we're going to talk about this Deshaun Watson news that keeps coming up again. It's like every month, Deshaun Watson comes up as a potential trade, but we'll talk about him. We're going to get to Jacob Eason a little bit, and then we're going to give our predictions for the schedule this upcoming week. And we'll try to get our prediction in before the kickoff of the game because we got like 2 hours till kickoff, probably.
Hours. Yeah, we're good.
So, we got time. So we'll get into it right now. Let's start with Julian Blackmon. Obviously, yesterday, we start seeing like Kenny Moore. He started tweeting out like there's something bad happening, and I thought it was something going on with him where it's like, oh, is there like something with your family, or is it something that's just going on with you? And then we saw the Julian Blackmon tweet he put out, and then we saw the injury report that came out yesterday. And then we got news that Julian Davenport did, in fact, tear his Achilles, and he will be out for the year. I do want to go to Derek on this. Derek, when you heard this news, what was going through your mind?
Well, I mean, I kind of expected it. I heard the news from the day before that there was something that happened, and it's kind of sad that I'm at this point, but I'm kind of blind to it at this point because I'm numb to the fact that this has been a continuous problem for the Colts for many, many years. And this year, it's just been one incident after another. And you feel just awful for Julian Blackmon, a guy who was just such a young, great player and was finally turning it around this season, was finally playing some good football. And then all of a sudden this has to happen, and for a young guy, especially who, just last season was coming off of an ACL and then and then said, well, the whole season I wasn't in game shape. I really wasn't great with my legs. I finally am in a position now where I feel like I can do that now. And then sure enough, here comes the Achilles. Yeah. So had 2 severe leg injuries already. I'd say the only good thing about it is the fact that he's obviously, like I said, he's young and he's got a lot of potential still left in him. No doubt about it. And glad that he's around the locker room that he is in, because obviously those boys have his back. You just pray for him, hope he recovers quickly and recovers well. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks to lose him because we're already dealing with the injury bug. So it sucks to lose another one.
Definitely. Sam, what were your thoughts when you first heard this come up?
Well, it was a big blow because I thought, honestly, coming into the season, I thought secondary and specifically safety was a position the Colts lacked depth in. Mm-hmm. And obviously we saw Andre Chauchere during the preseason and training camp. Obviously he was a guy with position flexibility and a guy that we thought could possibly make the team as an end of the roster, practice squad type guy. Obviously the Philadelphia Eagles picked him up, but this is an injury that's going to test their depth yet again. And I mean, this has been the story of the Colts this year. It's offensive line, quarterback, corner now during this part of the year. So it's a big blow. You got to look at guys like Andrew Sendejo. If he comes back from his concussion, it looks like he's going to be back Sunday. George Odom to step in the role. I mean, Odom played well in 2019, but didn't play a whole lot last year for whatever reason, just relegated to special teams. So those are 2 guys in-house. I kind of looked around the league. The only 2 free agents I could really think of were Trey Boston. I think he came in Indianapolis for a visit in 2019. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it wasn't a great one because I know he didn't sign here. He had some choice words for the organization. And also Kenny Vaccaro, he's played inside the division with the Tennessee Titans. So yeah, those are 2 options if the Colts are looking to go after someone in free agency because, restructured T.Y. Hilton's deal and freed up some cap space. So those are a few guys to look for and see who replaces Julian Blackmon.
Definitely. And I do want to go to the comments real quick. We got Big Play Slay in the house. How's it going, man? He's saying, what's up to you, Derek, and you, Sam, and me as well. And then we got Out of the Shoe Colts podcast. How's it going, man? Thank you guys for stopping by. It's nice to see you guys in the chat. When I found out about the news about him tearing his Achilles, I also wasn't surprised just because of how everything was going yesterday. It really felt like, with him being listed as limited and it being an Achilles injury, it really felt like something happened at practice, and it really gave me like some fear that he wasn't going to be able to play. And, I thought these last few weeks, especially, he's really turned it up and played like I think we were all expecting him to, because we had pretty high hopes on him coming into the season. And, didn't have the best start in the Seattle game, but I thought he got better and better. And then in that Ravens game and then this past week, I thought he played really, really well, had those big hits on Sammy Watkins that knocked him into next season. And then he had, a couple other big hits too. So it's really unfortunate. He's been probably the best, especially with Rock being out. He's probably been the best player in the secondary this year, at least the most consistent. I think people are getting better. Like Willis is getting better. He's improving each week. Rock has been playing better too, but I really thought he was the best player in our secondary and definitely one of the best players on our defense. So seeing a guy like him go out really does stink. And I think what really sold it to me that he was going to be out was this morning. The Colts were able to clear another $2.3 million. They did a reconstruction of T.Y. Hilton's contract. So they got an extra 2.3, I believe, million to spend. So that told me right there he's probably out for the year. And then we found out a couple hours later that he was out.
Yeah.
So I guess because there really isn't a whole lot of options in free agency. Do you think the Colts try to trade for a safety and maybe use Marlon Mack as a piece to get involved in the trade, especially with them freeing up some cap space?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to at this point, right? I mean, you've said it before that your running back room is pretty full, and it's much easier to replace a running back in this league than it is to replace a safety. You need to go out there and you need to find somebody who can be serviceable. You've felt that, having a guy like George Odom as a backup could potentially be serviceable, but then again, you don't want to stick with a backup for a while. You want to be able to try and find somebody who could be of that starting caliber. Only problem is who do you ultimately include? I mean, that's kind of a difficult task, and for somebody to learn the defensive scheme and the playbook right in the midst of a season, it's never an easy task. So, I certainly hope that whatever they're doing, I definitely think they'll use Marlon Mack as a chipping piece. I mean, that is a good trading block option to have. But then again, that also does kind of limit who you wouldn't want to throw all that your chips of Marlon Mack at somebody, because not every team needs a running back. So, it's a game of chess right now. What do you do with it? That's going to just ultimately be decided by Chris Ballard. Hopefully they find somebody soon, though.
Definitely.
Well, you look at Marlon Mack, and teams weren't really offering much for him. So for the Colts to look for a trade with Marlon Mack for a safety of any kind of playing caliber, they're going to have to probably add a draft pick. And Chris Ballard has already traded, our first or second for Carson Wentz, and then traded a 6th-round pick for Matt Pryor. People forget about that. So the Colts are down to probably 5 draft picks. I don't think he wants to trade anymore, at least in this year's draft. So. It's going to be very hard. I mean, it's going to come down to the deadline, and the trade deadline is November 1st. So, like we see, deadline spur action. So, I think trading Marlon Mack, especially for a safety, is going to be very difficult to do. And I don't think that they would want to trade any more draft picks. So, I think a trade's probably least likely. I think probably going into free agency, and like I said, the free agency options aren't that great, but it's just very hard to get player for player in-season trades through, because most teams have their 53-man roster for the most part set, and they're pretty much happy with the depth on their roster. So it's just going to be a really, really difficult way to replace Julian Blackmon, because that guy was balling out the last 2 weeks, like you said. So
Definitely. I don't know. That I was thinking if they were going to trade Marlon Mack for safety, they probably would have had to throw in a draft pick. But you're right, Chris Ballard does like his draft picks. I don't know. Maybe they try T.J. Carey when he's back and he's ready to go. Maybe they'll throw him out at safety. I don't know what they do. Hopefully they figure something out soon. And I do agree with Out of the Shoe Colts podcast. We got to rub that horseshoe for some better luck because that injury bug is hitting us. It sucks. I'm hoping he has a speedy recovery. Hopefully he comes back next year and he, dominates like he was in these last few weeks. But
TJ Carey, like you said, with TJ Carey, he should be close to coming back. He got hurt week 3 against Tennessee, and he went to IR. So
I think so. Yeah,
he should be very close. And he played a safety a little bit in training camp, so I think that's an option. Obviously, once he gets back from his injury.
Definitely. That is definitely an option. I don't know. And look, I liked what I saw from TJ Carey last year. I thought he did good things. A little iffy this year. So hopefully he can get a little better, but we'll find out. But I figure now, because I know Mike is in the comments, he's talking about Jacob Eason. I figured this would be a great time to talk about Jacob Eason. He says, cut Brett, keep Eason, which, obviously isn't happening at this point because Seahawks grabbed Eason. Nobody would grab Brett. Something behind the scenes had to happen that we don't know. Eason made someone upset. I absolutely agree with you. He made somebody upset. Clearly, because we were talking before. You don't go from the starter the backup to now getting cut and not making the roster. So especially when Brett Hundley got cut initially and then added to the practice squad. And then Michael said, we're not getting the full story on Eason. He definitely had some blow up with the coaches. Doesn't make sense. Logically, you put Brett Hundley on the practice squad. Eason would never clear waivers. True. Especially with Seattle, who picked him up today. They're obviously having injury issues. Russell Wilson's going to be out for a while. And Geno Smith did not look that good in the game last week. So, I just want to go around the table real quick. What are you guys' thoughts on Jacob Eason getting released and added to the Seahawks? Do you think maybe he potentially starts on the Seahawks until Wilson comes back?
Sam, you go first, man.
Why do you want me to go first? Is it because
Eason was your boy.
Yeah, true.
Always will be. He always will be. I'll be ghost rooting for him while he's in Seattle. We don't play Seattle but 4 times a year. Or four times, or once every 4 years. But anyway, the writing was on the wall. Obviously, once they elevated Brett Hundley full time to the 53-man roster, and Eason was a healthy scratch. Starting that Tennessee game? So I just think it's kind of surprising that it took a training camp, and then like I said to you guys before the show, that 2-minute warning. Like, that's an impossible situation for a guy to take his first meaningful NFL snaps. Just to judge him off the training camp in that situation right there and say, oh, nope, well, let's go with Huntley and Sam Ehlinger. I thought it was kind of just a weird decision. Obviously, they were trying to get him back on the practice squad, but obviously that couldn't happen with Seattle poaching him. But it just proves to the point what they said last year. That's why they kept him on 53, because clearly teams have interest in him. And I think that's also why they didn't cut Huntley, is because Eason's got elite traits. He's got an elite arm. And whereas Brett Hundley is a little bit more of a veteran, kind of proven backup guy. But yeah, it didn't really surprise me. It was kind of riding on the walls week 3. But to Matt's point, I think that we are definitely going to see it in the Hard Knocks. I think it's going to be a story. It's not going to be a whole episode, but I think it's going to be mentioned in the Hard Knocks. So we're going to have to keep our eye out for that one.
Definitely. And Colts Nation 365 podcast, he stopped by. Eason's a mental dwarf, Sammy.
Like I told you guys, I heard stuff that, he could not process the playbook and could not read NFL defenses. And like I told you guys, it's all mental for quarterbacks. If you don't have it in your brain, it doesn't matter what elite traits you have. It doesn't matter. Like, look at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that guy, his rookie year, he couldn't really read a defense coming from that spread offense at Texas Tech. But with his elite traits, and he finally got it around to his head with Alex Smith and Andy Reid there. I mean, you look at him now. I mean, the guy's a beast. So
definitely.
I mean, and Eason could figure it out in Seattle. Maybe the change of scenery. Again, it never works out for every team. not everyone works in the same area. It doesn't matter how good you are. I mean, I've seen Eagles and Colts fans over the last week when they keep telling me how much I keep praising what Carson Wentz has been doing, which inevitably through 6 games might be one of the best starts we have seen from Carson Wentz in his career and his first 6 games of any start to the season so far in his young career. Yet they keep telling me, well, it's the change of scenery. You went back with Reich. You went to a new place that loves you and the locker room loves you and, all this stuff. And, Wentz has blocked the outside noise and he's been doing what he's been doing. And, things worked out so far and we hope it stays that way. Maybe him learning from a guy like Russell Wilson helps him out and getting some like big experience from a guy like Pete Carroll, maybe that does help. But I mean, again, I'm surprised that I didn't catch on to that much sooner than what I did because, over the last 48 hours, it's become the conversation of it's not about his play anymore. It's about the mental aspect of his game. Like we've said, he's always had the arm that not many quarterbacks in this league even have. And, it was never about his physical ability. It was all the time about, is he smart enough and intelligent enough to be able to play football at the pro level? And, against the Rams, we all gave him the benefit of the doubt. That was a terrible position to be in for your first NFL game action in a regular season game. You are in the 2-minute warning against one of the best defenses in the league, against the best defensive tackle and the best corner in the league. You made a bad mistake and you paid the price for it. We all gave him the benefit of the doubt. That was a tough place to be in. We're like, okay, whatever. We kind of figured that would happen. But, to go from where he went, it has to be something. It has to be something mentally. There had to have been, I don't know what exactly would have pushed him over the edge. I don't know what somebody could have said to him that pushed him over the edge. I think what happened was he, after that interception was thrown and they lost, something switched off, I think, in his head. I don't think it was something that had to do with the coaches. I feel like it had more something to do with the fact that it might have been the fact that Brett Hundley was activated. That might have also done something to it. And then Easton might have just said, okay, so I got put in a crappy situation. You made me look like a fool on national television. And then you decide, okay, well, now we're just going to come in and probably replace you. He probably just switched off. He might have just switched off. He might have just said, I'm done. I don't really want to play for you guys right now. And that might have been why, I mean, it could have possibly been something, but even with all that, the Colts still said they wanted to try to keep him on the practice squad. But obviously when you have an arm like that waving around, somebody will come bring that up. So
definitely,
we'll see what happens. We'll see if he ever gets a chance to play. I mean, I know Geno Smith really hasn't looked good at all, but I mean, is there really any indication to say that Eason's going to be any better? I mean, really?
I don't know. It's just something that popped in my head where it's like, look, Geno Smith's not all that great. Maybe Eason goes in there. He learns the playbook or enough to at least go out there and, play well. And maybe he looks decent and then they just go with him. That was kind of my whole process. But I do remember during the offseason, I believe Frank Reich said that if they didn't get Carson Wentz, they were going to trade up for one of the 5 quarterbacks too. So that kind of makes me think, they weren't confident at that point. And then maybe because of that, when Sam Ehlinger went down, that was the reason why Jacob Eason got the backup job. Because I kind of got the feeling as we were going through training camp that even though I thought at the time Eason should have been the guy, I thought Sam Ehlinger was going to get it over him just because, everybody, that's talked from front office and head coaches and head coach and whatnot. They all said that, Sam Ehlinger's a winner. He's great and all this stuff. And then when they talked about Jacob Eason when they first got him, they're like, well, look, he's a project. He's not going to be the Messiah and all this stuff. So maybe they just were never confident. Jacob or Sam Ellinger goes down with the injury, and they go, okay, we'll go with him as the backup. We don't think Carson's going to get hurt. We'll just roll with him and go from there. And then, maybe that was the case, but I do think there's a chance he'll start. Depending on how bad Geno Smith is over the next few weeks, maybe he goes into Monday's game and he looks terrible, and it gets to the point where they have to throw Eason in there, and Eason maybe doesn't look all that great, but looks better than Geno Smith. But we'll see. Out of the Shoe Colts podcast says, I don't think he starts. I think he does have the skill and talent, but he's going to have to learn the playbook. Plus, he's not mobile. Seattle's offense works with a quarterback that can extend plays. And, Geno Smith is more mobile for sure, but, it's not like Jacob Eason's Phillip Rivers. Like, he can kind of move a little, like not the best, but he can move enough where he can get away from some of the pressure. But
I've always said he's in between Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning mobility wise. Like, he is not, going to take a sack like Peyton would, just fall down, and he's also not going to elude pressure like Andrew Luck. He's not a statue, and he can get out of the pocket. There's multiple plays when he was at Washington where he got outside the pocket, but to say he's a statue is just, I don't know where people got that.
Right.
But that was kind of the biggest issue with Easton coming out. Obviously, his accuracy was an issue coming out of college, but also just the grasp of the offense. Like, Washington was like, I think they were 7-5 his year, the 1 year he played at Washington, and this is with one. He had to redshirt, or he transferred in, so he had to sit 1 year, and then he got to start. So it wasn't like he was just coming in 1 year and then starting. He had to sit a year, learn the offense, and then went out his job barely. And then when he won his job, they went 7-5, and he wasn't spectacular. So, obviously, him grasping the playbook has been an issue for him. And like Derek said, I hope that this change of scenery going back home, maybe that'll help him with his second part of his career.
Definitely. That could definitely be the case. And then Out of the Shoe Colts podcast says, you may be right, Derek. He also says that he's been dealing with things like this since college a little bit before he played for Washington. And then I think he agreed about the mobility part. But no, I mean, look, I'll root for Jacob Eason, in Seattle. I'm going to wish nothing but the best for him. I don't know, maybe he goes to Seattle and dominates.
How long is Russell Wilson out for? Is he going to be out most of the season?
Yeah, he's going to miss a significant amount of time with that hand.
Yeah. You got to think, I think Seattle's 2-4 now, if I'm correct.
I think so.
I'm going to look that up real fast. But even if Seattle, like, let's say they lose in the next 3 or 4 games in a row, and they are, I think they're 2-4. I'm just going to go with the 2-4 record. So let's say they're 2-4. They lose the next 3 or 4 games. They're 2-7. They're basically going to be out of the playoff race. Maybe you throw Jacob Eason in there the last 5-6 games and see what you got. I mean, Russell Wilson is 31 years old. I mean, I always like to say every team is always in the market for a quarterback. Colts could be in the market for a quarterback if Carson Wentz doesn't work out. Heck, the Chiefs should be in the market for a backup quarterback. True. It's just, you're always in the market for a quarterback because you always need one. So you never know with Seattle.
True. And I don't know, maybe this is like, some of the situations like Drew Brees. He goes from San Diego, which, he wasn't bad in San Diego, but definitely wasn't the Drew Brees we know today. But he goes from there, goes to New Orleans, ends up being an all-time great quarterback. So maybe Jacob Eason goes to Seattle, plays under Russell Wilson for a few years, and then he goes out there and has a really nice career. Nothing that's going to put him in the Hall of Fame necessarily, but a nice, respectable career where you can go, he was a good quarterback. He did good things. But I don't know. We'll find out, of course, as the year goes on. I was kind of on the side that, when we were blowing out like the Jets, I kind of wish Jacob Eason was activated because we knew Phillip Rivers wasn't going to be there forever. So maybe throw him in for a drive or two, just see how he looks his first year. And that would have given us a better idea of what he would look like for next year. And if he doesn't look that good, we could, get another quarterback in the draft, which we did. But if he looks pretty good, then, we got our guy. But clearly that didn't happen. But we'll see. And then Mike P, he popped up in the comments, says, what are the Colts missing? Do we make any trades? We have 2 weeks. I would love it if we could get a safety. I kind of agree with, you, Sam. I don't know if it's going to happen necessarily. At least like a good safety, they would have to throw in draft picks. And, with us not having the first round pick next year, assuming Carson Wentz plays 70 to 75% of the snaps, I don't know if he's going to be willing to give up even a 7th rounder. Maybe for next year or the year after.
Well, to that snap count number, I know Derek and I were at the game Sunday. Yeah. And I was with my buddy, and I was screaming during the fourth quarter, "Get Carson out. We got to chip into that snap count number. We're up 24-3 on the Texans. I mean, why does Carson need to be in there?"
Yeah.
But that's just me griping.
I don't think Frank Reich's ever going to bench Carson Wentz, whether we're winning by a lot or losing by a lot.
Yeah, I don't really think so either.
I just think he likes him a little too much, but no.
But to what Matt said about where the Colts missing, they're missing a lot of their players that are injured. That's really what it is. I mean, you get Quentin Nelson and Braden Smith back, I think his offense can be a top 10 unit for sure. And obviously,
if we ever get Braden Smith back.
Yeah, he's been working at the side the last 2 days, so that's positive news. I mean, obviously they mishandled this foot injury, which is ironic because they should be masters in foot injuries and leg injuries through this year. Get Quentin Nelson back, you get Braden Smith back, you get Eric Fisher a little bit more healthy, you move Chris Reed to right guard, and then you get a little bit more healthier in the secondary. And I think this Colts team is going to start trajectorying up a little bit more. Especially with the schedule getting a lot easier.
Yeah, and it's like with Braden Smith. It's like his thumb is still on the report. So like, what's going on with the thumb? Is it that bad? I don't know. It's
teams can be very vague about injury reports. So I'm just like,
true.
Is he practicing or is he not? And what capacity?
So maybe he broke it or something. But I don't know. We got Mike P says Earl Thomas sitting on his couch as safety for sure. I don't think I want that kind of human being in my locker room. Yeah, that's kind of my thing.
And also, he's 31 years old?
Yeah, he's getting up there. So, which I mean, the age isn't as much of a concern for me because it's just gonna be for this year, unless Blackmon's gonna miss more than this year. But yeah, I don't want Earl Thomas in our locker room.
Something that's going to hurt the Colts though is when they're trying to get a free agent safety is they're 2-4 and they're 2 games out of the division, but they're 2-4 right now and they've got a lot of injuries. I don't think a free agent safety is going to jump off the couch at a 2-4 football team if they're not going to guarantee at least make the playoffs, let alone go to the Super Bowl. So, especially with Earl Thomas, that's just something I thought about, but that's something that's going to work against the Colts. Something else that they could look at is looking at corners maybe and see if you can definitely find a corner with safety experience.
True.
So that could be something else they look for.
Yeah, I would be down for that for sure. And then going to the comments, we got Jonathan Peck in the comments. He says, unless their first round pick is involved. And then he says, by the way, hi, Matt. Hi, Jonathan. And then Colts Nation 365 podcast says, are we fans of Denard at cornerback? I'll go around to you guys. What do you guys think about maybe getting Denard at corner?
Go ahead, Sam.
I mean, he's been around the league a few times. I mean, it's depth, and that's something you always need, especially at corner. I think it is interesting that they put him on the practice squad. Obviously, that means either Rocky Sin or Xavier Rhodes are not going to play on Sunday, so we're probably going to see him sooner or later.
True. Definitely. But any thoughts on that, Derek?
I mean, can't hurt any worse than what we already have. So, I mean, we're already struggling with it. One thing is Denard was a once very highly recruited guy. So, you never know. You never know. Things could always change.
Yeah. It's like I would take him because, like Sam said, it's depth, and depth is always a good thing, especially at corner. So, yeah, I mean, if we can get him for a good price, then yeah, I'll take him for sure. But now I think we should get to the title of the video, this Deshaun Watson stuff that's going on. It seems like every month Deshaun Watson to Miami pops up, and he popped up yet again. But now this whole trade is potentially involving Washington, where Miami's going to send Tua to Washington. So what do you guys think about that? Do you buy that a trade is going to happen with Deshaun Watson? I know we talked about it a little bit, Derek, before the stream, but do you buy it? And if you do, do you think that Washington would get involved for like Tua?
Well, the only reason that Miami gets this kind of attention for Watson at this point anyways, there's only 2 teams that realistically have the draft capital to be even able to consider Deshaun Watson at this point. It's the Philadelphia Eagles and the Miami Dolphins, who, by the way, both teams are going to have at least 2 first-round draft picks this year, at least. Yeah. So, you've got a lot of room to work with when it comes to that wiggle situation. And, Miami has been at the forefront of it for a long, long time. They've been at it ever since the offseason, ever since the news broke that Deshaun Watson did not want to play with the Texans anymore. Miami was the first name that was brought up every time because they got a bunch of different talented wide receivers over there, young, talented wide receivers, have a great tight end. They got a defense that I think can be a lot better than what it is. And they're obviously well coached. They play with a lot of passion. So no question about that. Ultimate thing is I just don't think Miami really wants to do that right now. I mean, I still think they're still wanting to see where this Tua Tagovailoa experiment turns out. And, with the legal situation that's going on right now, even though I haven't heard anything about it in like 5 months. I ain't heard anything. I haven't heard nothing. I mean, after the first month of this happening, I ain't heard anything. I've not heard police forwarding the investigation, no new women coming out, nobody saying we're getting sick and tired of waiting. It just seemed like, oh, we're accusing you, and it just seems like they've just abandoned it. I know they haven't, but it just feels like it's been abandoned. Nobody's been saying anything. So I don't really know at this point, Deshaun to Miami makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, as it would to the Eagles as well. Because again, the Eagles are about to have possibly 3 this year. So, they could trade their entire first round this year, this upcoming draft, just for him. And then, throw in a third just for safekeeping and then just be done with it. But, right now, I don't know. Deshaun Watson really doesn't feel like I don't know if he really wants to play football right now, dealing with everything outside of the football field that's going on. My guess is that we don't see him going to Miami because, if it would have happened, if it was going to happen, I feel like it would have been done already.
True. So what about you, Sam? Do you see this trade potentially happening?
I don't. I just don't right now. There's just too much stuff going around, like what Derek said. And even though, like I said earlier, deadlines spur actions, deadlines also make actions not happen. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Tua, especially last week, played really well coming off the injury. The issue is, like what Louis Riggs said on ESPN, is they have failed to give him enough talent around him. Look at that offensive line. It's an absolute wreck. Austin Jackson is not at left tackle. They have not invested high draft capital into the offensive line. Yeah, they've gotten Jalen Waddle and Devontae Parker, and I'm trying to think of the third receiver, but they just don't have enough for Tua right now. They have to not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but they have to run the offense around Tua, and they just don't have that right now. And to Derek's point about the draft picks, Miami doesn't have their first-round pick. It's with Philadelphia now. Their only first-round pick is with the San Francisco 49ers. So I wouldn't necessarily, myself at least, I would not trade my quarterback to a team that doesn't even have their own first-round pick, because now you're trading for a first-round pick that is not even with the other team that you're trading to. It's with the 49ers, and I think the 49ers are going to be fairly good this year. I think they're going to – I don't know if they'll make the playoffs or not, but they're going to be around the 15 range. Why would you trade Deshaun Watson for a 15 to 20 pick? I just would not. And I don't think Miami has enough weaponry outside of the roster to make it happen, especially – and I'm looking at Washington's roster. If they're to trade for Tua, the only thing I really see with them is possibly one of their defensive linemen like Matt Ioannidis, or even if they want to get feisty, Deron Payne or Jonathan Allen, which I don't see that happening. But those are really the only kind of guys I see if they're to do a player-to-player trade. But I just don't see this happening. I would definitely, like what Derek said, if I'm Houston, I'd be calling up the Eagles. I'd be asking for their 3 first-round picks.
How many first-round picks you want? I mean, we got everything.
I think honestly, if you get 3 this year, and I think the Colts pick will end up probably being the top 15, top 20. Miami pick is probably going to be in the 15 range. And if you trade Watson this year to the Eagles and he doesn't play, the Eagles are still going to be bad. So, like, that's going to be a top 10 pick. And then you possibly end up adding another first-round pick and maybe even adding Jalen Hurts into that deal. And, I don't know, maybe adding a defensive lineman into that deal or a corner or something like that. Houston's got a lot of problems. So, I don't know where they would want to start with player trades. But, obviously, the first team I'd be calling for is the Eagles or the Lions, one of those 2 teams, because they've got the most first-round picks this year.
True.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't see a trade happening this year. I keep going back and forth on it because, with Miami and Philadelphia, we're just assuming at this point they're not making the playoffs. Their season's over. You might as well trade for Deshaun Watson, see what happens, take the risk. Eventually all this stuff is going to get cleared or it's going to get settled or, whatever. We're going to find out the conclusions later on and we'll go from there. I do have a feeling too that even if he's cleared to play, like if all these lawsuits, they're all settled and whatnot, even if a team trades for him, I wonder if he's going to be on the exempt list too. I wonder if he could be on there at some point, whether as soon as he gets traded and he's like, yeah, I'm totally going to play, maybe then he gets put on it or whatever. I think that's something you got to consider too. I don't see Miami happening at all. And I was going to bring it up too. Miami did trade. I think they traded their pick to the Eagles. They trade the pick to the Eagles so they can jump into the top 5, I believe.
Yeah, they traded 12 to 6, yeah. Because they went from like 4 to 12 to 6.
Yeah. So
weird.
Which I thought that was weird too. But they ended up trading up so they can get they eventually got Jalen Waddle. And now the Eagles are gonna have 3 first-round picks. They'll have probably 2 top 10 picks and then the 32nd pick. So, they'll have 3 picks that they can give up and give to Houston. And then, like you said, maybe they throw in Jalen Hurts. We're like, look, we don't have confidence in Jalen, but we know that Deshaun can go in there and he can do good things for us. We're going to have him be our quarterback. We'll give you Jalen because obviously Tyrod Taylor's not going to be in Houston forever. He'll eventually leave because that's what happens with him. He gets replaced as he's somewhere and, as he's doing well. And I don't think Davis Mills is the guy at the moment. Maybe he will be, but, I don't think he's going to be the guy for Houston. So maybe they get Jalen Hurts and then they trade maybe 2 first-round picks, or 3, But point being, I do think it's going to happen with the Eagles more than I think it would happen with the Dolphins. I don't think it's going to happen this year, though. I think Houston might want to wait until after the year is done and kind of see where all the draft picks are and then kind of go from there. But we'll find out. And then on the Rise Colts podcast, he's in here. He says, what's up, fam? How's it going, man? Guys, if you're watching, make sure you check out on the Rise Colts podcast him. Check out Out of the Shoe Colts podcast, Big Play Slay. I mean, check out these guys' podcasts and shows they do. They really do a lot of good things. I watched some of On the Rise's stuff earlier yesterday and a little bit today. He does some good content, so make sure you guys check that out. And yes, do what he says. Smash that like button. Let's try to get this out to as many people as possible. It would be pretty awesome if we did that. And then Mike P says the Colts division is very forgiving. They just need to get hot, let Wentz cook, and hold nothing back. Gonna need 30 points per game with our defense. It could happen. 11-6 might do it. Yeah, I think 11-6 potentially, but
winning
Tennessee's
9 of the last 11, I don't think is necessarily something I'm betting my money on.
I'm
for the
putting it
Colts
on
right now. 7 of the next 11, yeah, but even then, like that still puts you at 9-8 for the year. I just don't think 11-6 is something we'll do. I think of who we have left on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're going to lose to Tampa Bay. I'm almost certain of it. Although that could be the one game this year that the Colts pull that one out of their asses. They do it once a year. They did it with Green Bay last year. They weren't supposed to win that one, and they did.
Right.
I just don't know. I don't see us winning 9 of the last 11. Even though after this game, after the Sunday night game, I mean, yeah, we got to play Tennessee, Jacksonville, Houston, and Jacksonville again. I mean, the next part of our schedule is very forgiving. We definitely can do that, but
the 2018 season was a lot of fun, but trying to win 9 out of 11 just to sniff into the playoffs was very stressful for me, at least. So
right. I don't know. I think we can do it because the way I look at it is we haven't been blown out by anybody this year. I mean, we went up against the Rams when we were clearly nowhere near our best, and we almost beat them. Honestly, if Wentz was in there, maybe we do, maybe we don't. But we kept it really close against the Rams. Everybody tends to agree that the Rams are one of the better teams in the NFL. The Ravens, we just choked that game, plain and simple, but we were killing the Ravens in that game. I think if Carson Wentz was healthier, we would have beat Tennessee. And if Jonathan Taylor was healthier in that game, I think we would have continued to run the ball, and I think we could have beat Tennessee. But just looking at their schedule, I see a lot of winnable games this year. The ones that there's like 4 games, or 3, I should say, that I think will be tough. It's the Bills, the Bills, Tampa Bay, and then Arizona. The Raiders, they're not as good as what we thought they were. The Patriots, they're not that great. The 49ers are dealing with issues, and we definitely can beat the Titans. So I don't know. I think it could happen, but we'll see. And then on the Rise Colts podcast says, I think so too. But now with that being said, I figured we now get into predictions for this upcoming week. Obviously, we have tonight's Thursday night football game, the Broncos and the Browns, a fantastic Thursday night game, if you ask me. So I'm going to go around the table here. And guys, let me know in the comments below who you guys think is going to win. We'll bring up the comments as we go through each match. And, we'll get your guys' input on that. So I'll start with Derek on this one. Who do you have in this game?
Oh, man, for tonight's game, given how injured the Browns are right now, I'll take the Broncos, even though I think that the Browns could probably still win this game with their ground attack. I just think that the Broncos might force a few turnovers on Case Keenum tonight. I think the Broncos win it in a nail-biter.
Okay. Then I'll go to you, Sam. Who do you think is going to win this game?
I've got Denver winning this game. I thought this game probably 3 weeks ago was looking a little bit more spicier, You're thinking, 3-0 Browns, 3-0 Broncos. It looks like a great matchup. And then you get 4 weeks down the road, and it's like, ooh, let's just get through this game. But yeah, I'm gonna take Denver, even though I don't like taking the road team on Thursday Night Football. And Denver has just not looked great these last couple weeks. But obviously, I think with Cleveland losing their top quarterback, top 2 running backs, I think they're down their top tackles. I'm gonna have to take the healthier team. I'm gonna take Denver.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm taking Denver too. I mean, they have Jarvis Landry returning, and I just saw Odell Beckham Jr. is going to try to play today too, but I don't really see Odell being much of a factor, especially with him still being as injured as he is. Even though I don't think the Broncos are all that good, and I actually think the Browns are kind of overrated. The wins they have don't really look that great right now. Kansas City's not playing that great. The Bears, they're kind of a mixed bag at this point. I got to go Denver. I think Teddy Bridgewater is still a capable quarterback. I think he's going to go in there and have a pretty good game today. But it's Thursday night football. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe, we see the Browns come in and win this game. I'll pull up Mike P. He has a prediction. He says 31-28 Browns at home. And then on the rise says, guys, I see Jacob Eason signing with the Seahawks. That did happen. And then, we don't know what's going on with Blackmon. But who knows? But now we'll hop into the next game. We got the Carolina Panthers traveling to New York to take on the Giants. I'll go to you first, Sam. Who do you think is going to win this one?
I'm going to go with Carolina in this game just because I think they're just a more talented team. Even though neither one of these teams have played great over the last couple weeks, but this is kind of like the Denver and Cleveland game tonight. Both teams are kind of got a few injuries on their on their roster. The Giants are going to be possible. I think they're out with Saquon's going to be out.
Yeah.
I think they're missing Kenny Golladay, and I can't remember if Daniel Jones is going to play or not. But give me Carolina; they're a more talented team.
Right. I don't know if Kenny Golladay is officially ruled out. I know on my fantasy he was still listed as potentially playing. So I don't know if he got cleared. Okay, yeah, he's out. He didn't practice today. Him and Kadarius Toney and Barkley, obviously, but I do think that Daniel Jones is playing. I do agree with you though. I think if Kenny Golladay was playing and Saquon was playing, I would go with the Giants in this game because I think Christian McCaffrey being out is really a big factor for how Carolina has been playing the last few weeks. But I think Carolina's going to win this game. I think Sam Darnold's going to have a good game this week. So it should be a close game because, the Giants defense isn't like awful. But yeah, I'm going to go Carolina in this one. Derek, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I think Carolina wins this one. I mean, what the Giants injury situation right now is just horrid. I think there's some issues going on in the locker room right now with Judge and a bunch of these players. I just don't think that they're in position to really be winning football games right now. Even though the Panthers have had a rough last 3 games, I expect them to win on the road.
Okay. And then we're going to hop into the next game real quick. We got the New York Jets going to New England to take on the Patriots. I'm going to start with you, Derek. I'm actually getting a phone call right now. It's probably food ready, so I'll just let him know I'll be up in a little while. So who do you got in this game and why, though?
I'll definitely go the Patriots here. I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, the Jets really don't scare many teams right now, except the Titans. And the Patriots, while they, haven't been playing super great, Mac Jones has been getting better every single week. And I expect them to win at home, especially against a division rival like the Jets. I just think this is a recipe for the Patriots just whooping on them.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these teams. I would say that they're fairly evenly matched. So I'm definitely going to take the New England Patriots, and I just look at Bill Belichick's record versus the rookie quarterbacks, and it is startling how great it is. Really, I mean, Davis Mills got the best of him a couple weeks ago, but these two teams played, I think, week 2, and the Jets got it handed to them 25-6. So give me the Patriots, even though they're probably the most boring football team to watch. I think they're going to win this one over the New York Jets.
Yeah, I got to go Patriots as well. If it wasn't a rookie quarterback in there, I probably would go Jets because, like I said, it's evenly matched. I just think that, with Bill Belichick being as good as he is against some of the rookie quarterbacks he's gone up against, and with Mac Jones actually playing pretty well so far under that system, I'll go Patriots. It's going to be a close game, but that's where I'll go. And I'll bring up some of the comments. So we got Jonathan Peck says low-scoring game. He's picking the Browns. We did talk about the Blackmon thing a little bit ago. We agreed that it's either going to be a trade or more than likely it's going to be a free agency signing, maybe move TJ Carey over to safety. Anthony Hurt says 19-16 Browns. And then Mike P says many NFL quarterbacks have starred on raw talent without being mentally smart. Look at Lamar and Cap, even though Russell Wilson took even Russell Wilson took a long time still reading defenses. True. That definitely does happen. It usually takes a year before they take that leap. But now we're going to move on to the next game. We got the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Tennessee to take on the pathetic Titans that got very lucky on Monday. I'll go to you, Sam. Who do you got in this one and why?
Well, I think we've all made the same pick so far. I think we're going to be different on this one. I'm actually going to take the pathetic Tennessee Titans in this game in an upset. I believe they played last year, and it was a really close game. It came down to some fluky field goal situations, special team stuff. So, Kansas City, it's just been a weird season for them so far. I think they're 3-3 as well. But
yeah,
I think I'm going to take Tennessee. As brutal as that would be for Colts fans to see them beat the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans in this one.
Yeah, for me, I think Kansas City is going to eventually get out of this funk they're in right now. The defense is just not good. That tends to happen when you pay your quarterback $500 million for 10 years. You don't, have money to really improve the defense like you need to. But they're going to get out of this funk eventually. They're going to get hot again. I do think it's going to start this week. I think the Tennessee Titans are a perfect team to get hot against because, you can pass on them. You can do it well. They're not the best when it comes to pass defense. Like, they're not bad, but I definitely think Kansas City has more than enough to pass on Tennessee. And I think it's going to be very, very high scoring. I mean, I think this could be like in the 40s, like 49-42, like that type of game, because both defenses, I don't think, are going to be able to stop the other offense. So I'll go Kansas City. Very close game, but I think they're going to win this game. And I hope that my luck from, predicting that Tennessee Jets game, it goes to this game. So now I'm going to go to Derek. Who do you see winning this one?
Well, I have a theory when it comes to not just NFL games, but football games in general.
Mm-hmm.
When a team beats another team that it wasn't supposed to on a wild ride the week prior, something about that tells me that most of the time expectations should come down. I think that a lot of people like to ride on the high when it comes to a team beating another team that it shouldn't have, but then we kind of get a dose of reality that this is the NFL and there's a lot of ways that these teams get exploited. Obviously, Tennessee can win this game because for how bad the Kansas City Chiefs defense has been, how they're going to slow down Derrick Henry, I have no idea. But again, I just think that this Tennessee Titans defense has been nothing to celebrate either. I think Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team are going to figure it out. I think that they can still put up massive numbers. I think they will win this game. I don't think that they'll blow out the Titans, but I think that they will end up winning this game over the Titans.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to our next game. We got the Washington football team going to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Give me the Packers all day. Washington's defense is not playing as well. I've actually been surprised with Heineke as my dog's freaking out upstairs. Heineke has actually played pretty decent for Washington. Not great, but he's had good moments. But look, Aaron Rodgers, the guy still has it. The guy is still dominating. I know they had that game against the Saints where they didn't look great, but they really have bounced back from it, and they've pretty much rolled over everybody outside of like one or two teams. Give me the Packers, and I think they win big. Derek, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I think the Packers will do it too. I mean, even in a game where the Green Bay Packers struggled against the Chicago Bears, we're still able to find a way to win. And like you said, this Washington football team right now is just not playing up to the kind of standard we thought they would, with that high-powered defense that they have. Just hasn't quite been the same for them until Aaron Rodgers gives me a reason not to. I'm not voting against him. So give me Green Bay in this one.
Okay. And then Sam, who do you see winning this one?
I'm going to go Green Bay too, but I honestly think that probably maybe the Colts, but I think based on what they did last year and expectations this year, I think Washington has to be the most disappointing team in the NFL through 6 weeks. Yeah. I mean, their defense is just terrible. It's almost as bad as the Chiefs' defense. Like, it's just shocking how bad their defense has been this year. Yeah. And obviously, Tyler Heineke's a fine quarterback, but he can't keep up. And I doubt he can keep up with Aaron Rodgers and Lambeau Field. So give me Green Bay, and I think, like what you said, I think Green Bay wins by a lot.
Yeah. I think we need to start saying free Chase Young. Send him to Indianapolis. I think we got to do
bring
that.
Terry McLaurin home.
Yeah, bring him. Yeah, free Terry. Free him. Get him out of there. Send him to Indy. Send them all to Indy. But no, we'll move on to the next game, though. Even Heineke, we'll make him back up. But we got the Atlanta Falcons, though. They're traveling to Miami to take on the pitiful Dolphins. Sam, I'll go to you first. Who do you see winning this one and why?
I've got Miami. I was back and forth about this game really all week, and it's interesting how they Atlanta Falcons go on the road to London, they went on the road to play the Jets, and they get a bye week, and then they go on the road to play Miami. So they've been on the road a lot. So
yeah,
I think Atlanta has also played down to their expectations a little bit. I didn't think they're going to be good, but they've been just downright pitiful. And I was encouraged by what Tua did last week. So I think Miami gets off the schneid here. I think they rinse off that Jacksonville Jaguars loss and get the win here at home against the Falcons.
Okay. Now I'll go to you, Derek. Who do you see winning this one and why?
Yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins here as well. Yeah, I mean, Sam said it. The Falcons have played down to expectation quite a bit, and have played down to the competition a lot. I mean, they had a stronghold on the Jets and could have easily had just humiliated them in London just a week ago, but they weren't able to do it. They let them back into the game and almost lost it. So, the Falcons, while they haven't been particularly impressive at all, I think the Dolphins, now that Tua's back, even though they've been losing, they have sort of gotten that offense kind of moving a little bit. I think that the Dolphins will get their second win against the Falcons.
Yeah, I gotta go Dolphins too. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Doesn't say a whole lot about the Atlanta Falcons when your 2 wins are against the Jets and Giants.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. It doesn't. And then and then people say, well, what do we say about the Colts and them beating the Texans and then Miami? But I mean, obviously, I know. Obviously, I was the one on the front end of that conversation before. That record isn't everything.
Yeah, true. But I don't know. Like I said, I got to go Dolphins. I don't have faith that Atlanta's going to really do much. I think offensively, they might be able to drive down the field a little bit because, they got a lot of talent on that offense. But yeah, I think Tua's back. He's, still learning the system. I think it's taken him a little bit longer to learn it, but I think he's going to get better as each week goes by. Atlanta's not that good of a team at all. They should go in and win this game for sure. But now we'll move on to the next game. We got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Surprisingly, a pretty good matchup this week. Last year or 2 years ago, we would have said this is a terrible matchup, but it's actually pretty good. So I'll go to you, Derek. Who do you got in this one and why?
Man, yeah, you're right. I mean, I do actually have to consider it because, now with the Bengals having Joe Burrow, they're in position to win just about any game they're in now at this point because Joe Burrow just is that kind of quarterback. I would potentially consider saying that of 10 quarterbacks in the league who are the most valuable to their team, Burrow probably ranks among them, maybe even top 5 when you look at it from most value to their team. I mean, is this Cincinnati Bengals team winning this game without Joe Burrow? No, they wouldn't even be showing up to the field. So, this Bengals team, give them a lot of credit. They have been in a lot of weird games this year, but have played very well against a lot of good teams. And, and then the Ravens, I think that they are I think right now they might be the best team in football right now. Might be. They are top. They have won their last 5 games after losing their season opener. They have not lost a game since. Lamar Jackson is playing at an elite level, and he is and what they just did to the Chargers last week. I mean, oh my gosh, they made the Chargers, who are one of the better teams in the NFL, look like they didn't even belong on the same field as them. So, do I believe this game's going to turn out to be like that? No. I think Joe Burrow is going to put up more points than that on this Ravens defense. Do I still think that's going to be enough? I don't think so. I think the Ravens win this game by a touchdown, probably like some 31 to 24 or something. So I'll take the Ravens in this one.
Okay. And who do you got in this one, Sam?
I've also got the Ravens, but I think it's going to be a close game. The AFC North divisional games are always close, no matter the talent on either end of the roster. I think the Bengals, like I said, with Washington, most disappointed team. The Bengals have to be the most surprising team this year, and I think they're definitely going to be fighting for a wild card spot. If they win this game Sunday, they're going to be competing for that division. So, but I'm gonna take the Ravens. I think it's going to be close throughout. It's going to be a back and forth game. I'm glad the Colts play at 8:00. That's that Cincinnati Bengals or Cincinnati Ravens game. That's definitely going to be a game I'm going to be keeping my eye out on. So, but yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens in this one in a close game.
You know, I'm going to go upset. I think Cincinnati gets it done. I think we got to have an upset this week. And I think this is going to be the upset.
Is it really that much of an upset, though? I mean, I know it is an upset, but like, you know, they are 4-2. I mean, you know, this isn't
the Ravens.
This isn't the Bengals of old, though. This isn't the Bengals of old.
True.
Well, the Ravens are about a touchdown favorite at home, so I would say it's a pretty big upset.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
And then, you know, like you said, you know, Ravens might be the best team in the NFL right now. You know, Lamar Jackson is playing unbelievable. Not a lot of people are talking about him for potential MVP. I think as the year goes on, let's see if he continues this. Because I think
he's got more total yards by himself than almost half of the NFL does offensively. So, you know, he has been doing some things this year that, you know, if he keeps this pace up, it would make his MVP season look like child's play. I mean, it's very impressive what he's doing.
Yeah, and like he was going up against Justin Herbert, who we all, you know, probably had in our MVP conversation, and you know he easily won that battle. He's been looking really good, so you know I think with him potentially being in MVP conversation soon, and with you know Baltimore being looked at like they are, I think this is the upset because you know with the Bengals, even though they are 4-2, I don't think we know what they are yet because there's weeks where they look great. And then there's weeks where they look not great. I mean, week 1 looked really good. Then you get to the matchup against the Bears, and they just looked terrible. So I don't know. I think the Bengals are going to pull off the upset. I think they get the win and surprise the world. But now we go on to the next match. We got, you know, one quarterback returning home. We got the Detroit Lions going to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. I'll go to you first, Sam. How do you think this practice is going to go?
Well,
shots fired.
I usually look at lines before the week to see how Vegas looks at things.
Yeah,
this line opened up at 15.
Jeez.
It should be 30, I think, honestly.
Yeah, probably.
I think 14 was the halftime line, honestly. I think the Rams, I think they lost, 2 weeks ago? I can't remember who they lost to, but to get the Giants and then the Lions back-to-back weeks, that's a good stepping stone to get back in the track. They lost to Seahawks. That's who they lost to.
Yeah.
They lost to the Cardinals pretty badly at home, too.
But they beat the Seahawks because that was the game where Russell got hurt and Geno Smith came in.
Yeah. But to get the Giants and then the Lions back-to-back weeks, I wish the Colts got that schedule. I mean, there shouldn't be much to say. Rams by a lot.
Yeah.
They're going to cover.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, but I'll pull up some of the comments. Mike P says Kansas City wins, Titans lose, Colts win, hope is alive. Absolutely, especially if the Colts beat the Titans on Halloween, which will happen because I will be at the game. And when I'm at the game, that means we win, unless we play Miami. And we have Brian Hoyer as quarterback. Mike P says Lamar's turnovers will kill the Ravens eventually when they face good teams, especially in the playoffs. That could be. Definitely had some issues with turnovers. So maybe that plays a factor in that game. Jonathan says, as a fan of Washington, I hate to admit it, but you're right about our defense, especially our linebackers and secondary are abysmal this year, especially in coverage. And then he says the Ravens beat the Bengals. But no, I agree with you. The Rams are going to kill the Lions. I feel so bad for Detroit. They shouldn't be 0-6. They really shouldn't.
They should be 2-4, 3-3 right now.
Oh yeah, they lose to the Ravens by the longest kick in NFL history, and then they go drive down the field on the Vikings, score a touchdown, get the 2-point conversion with like 30 seconds left. Then Minnesota goes down the field, kicks a field goal to win the game, And they were in that game with the 49ers too. I feel so bad for
What
the
was the
fans.
final score of the Rams versus the Giants? Wasn't it like 38-11?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do not anticipate the Rams beating the Lions by more than 21 in this game. I do not anticipate it. And I know people are going to think I'm foolish for saying that. I love the heart that this Lions team plays with. I feel so bad for Dan Campbell, the way that he's, trying to coach these guys. And, you can tell he wears his heart on his sleeve every time he goes up to the press conference booth. I feel bad for him. I love the way that he's coaching this team. He has put this team in positions to win multiple games this year, which the Lions really haven't felt a lot of that over the last few years. And I think that even though I don't believe they win this one, I think that they can somewhat keep this competitive for at least a little while.
Maybe. Plus, it's Jared Goff. He probably wants to get some revenge because that whole situation did not end, the best for him. So, he probably wants to go there and prove a point.
And to Derek's point, 4 of the 6 games the Lions have played have been within 10 points. So
it's just crazy.
I mean,
I feel so bad for them.
Two field goals outside of 50 yards if they don't go in, they don't go through the goalpost, the Lions are 2-4. So it's just weird how their season has gone so far.
Yeah, I don't know. Did they pay Calvin Johnson that money they owe him?
I don't think so because they gave him his Hall of Fame ring.
They need to. Yeah, that's what they need to do.
Maybe this is the football gods saying, "Hey, you need to pay Calvin Johnson, or else you're just going to go winless, and you're going to lose by like historical kicks."
I mean, they've done it before. I mean,
true. Yeah. So hey, it can always happen again. But I just feel bad for them. But now we're going to move on to a team I don't feel bad about. It's the Philadelphia Eagles going to the Vegas Raiders. I'll start off on this one. Raiders have been disappointing lately. They have not looked as good. I think they're going to get the win, though, this week. Even though all this stuff is going on with Gruden and like the new coach and trying to get all that stuff situated, I still think the Raiders are a more talented team than the Eagles. Didn't they win last week too?
The Raiders did. Yeah. They beat the Broncos by 2 scores on the road, which I thought was a really, really impressive win. But
but I mean, outside of that, they haven't really been what we thought they were, because we kind of went in like 3 weeks in. We're like, oh, this team is really, really good. They might be a really dangerous team coming out of the AFC, and they haven't really looked like that. But I still think they get it done against Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a lot of issues going on. I don't have faith in Jalen Hurts to be like a franchise quarterback. I don't think he's bad per se, but I don't think he's going to be enough for Philadelphia to really do anything. So I'll go Raiders. Derek, how about you? How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I think the Raiders will win this one by 2 scores. The Eagles just haven't put together a good game plan at all versus a lot of teams this year. Nick Sirianni refuses to run the ball with Miles Sanders, which is weird. That's just weird that somebody would do that. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the Raiders have been a little disappointing, but they still have a good record. They're still going to figure it out. I think that the Raiders will win this one, being at home.
True. Sam, how do you see this one going?
I'm gonna go Raiders. I think it's gonna be close, but once Jalen Hurts has another bad game, I'm gonna post a side by side of Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts stats from the season.
Yeah,
and Carson's is gonna look really good, and Jalen's is gonna look pretty bad. So,
right. Yeah,
and I'm gonna keep up my narrative that Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Always has been, always will be.
Just be prepared for all the Eagles fans that don't want to admit it to come in your notifications and be like, "Nope, you're wrong. Carson Wentz stinks. Look at this fumble that happened 3 years ago. See, look how bad he is." Even though Carson Wentz's numbers have been better at this point than they were his 2017 season, as far as completion percentage or whatnot. But it is what it is. There's some Eagles fans that they've come to agree that Carson's better, but there's Eagles fans. It won't matter. Carson could win like 3 straight Super Bowls, 3 MVPs in a row, just break records, and they'll say, nope, Jalen Hurts is better. He's a better quarterback. Look at this fumble that happened in Philly.
It just makes no sense that, these Eagles fans have just basically gotten rid of Carson Wentz out of their memory, like Carson literally didn't put their franchise in a position to win the Super Bowl a few years ago.
That is true.
And was looking like a franchise quarterback while doing it. Like,
oh, yeah.
And it was like Nick Foles. Yeah, he had that magical run. If he was a starter from the get-go, they wouldn't have won that division.
They would have won, 7 games at most.
Yeah. It's like Nick Foles, he wasn't really that good of a quarterback going into Philadelphia, but something happened, and it was kind of like Joe Flacco in the playoffs, for whatever reason. He's not great in the regular season, but when you get to the playoffs, something just flips and they go out there and they play really good football. So I don't know, but we'll move on to the next game. We got the Houston Texans traveling to Arizona to take on the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. I'll start with, I believe I got to go Sam first on this one because I think I went Derek first on the last one. Who do you got in this one?
Well, I learned last week to not bet against the Cardinals, so I'm not going to bet against the Cardinals this week. I'm going to be smart this week. They're favored by 17.5 points, and I think they're going to definitely cover that, at least by halftime, probably. I think the real question is, do the Cardinals score under 40 points, or do they get over 40 points? I think they will. Give me the Cardinals. But like what you were saying earlier about Davis Mills, I think he's a competent quarterback. I don't think he's a franchise guy or whatnot, but it would not surprise me. And I was telling my buddy this during Sunday's game. I would not be surprised if Houston is smart enough and they just go with Davis Mills next year as a quarterback. I think if he were to come out in this year's class, he would probably be the best quarterback available. I'm not a big believer in this quarterback class, so that's a whole different other discussion. I'm gonna take the Cardinals by a lot. They're gonna score a lot, not give up a lot of points. JJ Watt's gonna have like 4 sacks on Davis Mills. I feel bad for Davis Mills.
I do too.
DeAndre Hopkins is gonna have 4 touchdowns.
I forgot. Yeah, this is the return of the former Texans, or I guess the Texans are going to play
the Arizona Texans.
I'm going to give a hot take. I'm going to give a hot take, and it's not the hot take that you're thinking, so stop thinking it.
Okay.
I think that the Texans make this a closer game than what they did last week against Indianapolis. I think that this game comes down to it being 31-13. I think the Cardinals win this game, but I think the Colts will beat the Texans by more points than what the Cardinals are about to do it. That's my hot take. I know the Cardinals, and they have just absolutely pretty much murdered everybody they've played so far, except for the occasion of a few. Mm-hmm. But I think the Texans might actually make this within 18 points rather than 30 something that we saw last week.
Yeah, and with Davis Mills, to me anyway, he's very hit or miss because he looked good at times in the Colts game where he was able to move the ball down the field even though they ran the exact same play 1,000 times, or at least play type. But he looked good against the Patriots. He didn't look good against the Bills. He's very hit or miss right now. I do agree. I think they should keep him. Maybe trade Watson to the Eagles, get those 3 first-round picks, and just add around him. That would be smart. They won't do it, but that would be smart. I'm going to go Arizona in this game, though. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's probably going to be, 48 to maybe 20, because at that point it's whatever, score on us, Houston. You're not going to win anyway. It's over. So maybe something like that, but I got Arizona big in this game, not even close. And then we got Jonathan saying, I bet JJ and DeAndre will laugh the Texans and Bill O'Brien, even though he's not on the team anymore after beating them. Cards beat the Texans. Yeah, expect DeAndre Hopkins to have 400 yards in this game. And it's like you said, expect JJ to have 4 sacks in this game. Expect them to have huge days. So if you have DeAndre Hopkins in fantasy, this is a really good week to have him in your lineup because he's going to probably score 30. I don't know, maybe he'll have like a Tyler Lockett last year when he played the Cardinals where he had 60 fantasy points just by himself.
Yeah.
Maybe DeAndre Hopkins will have that.
If
Maybe
if Tunzel's not playing in that game, expect Chandler Jones to have another 4 sacks coming this week.
Oh, yeah. Look,
Yeesh.
Chandler Jones, just between 2 games, might just break the record for most sacks in an NFL season because he had 5 sacks against the Titans, and then he'll probably have like 20 against the Texans, especially if Tunzel's not in there. And then JJ will get like 5 or whatever. But it's going to be a blowout. I'm so happy to have DeAndre Hopkins on my fantasy team this week. It's very nice. But now we'll move on to the Chicago Bears going to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. This will be the game where I think we'll find out if Tom Brady was talking about them when he was on the shop. And he was like, you're going to pass on me or you're going to take that, mother effer or whatever. So we'll find out if it's the Bears he was necessarily talking about because he's like, no, I didn't want to go there, but the Bears didn't want me or that team did want me. So, they're going to wish they took me. But yeah, I'll go Tampa Bay in this one. Tom Brady, expect him to have another huge game, probably another 400 yards passing because Chicago's secondary isn't the greatest. They have some nice pieces, but it's not good enough to where they're going to slow down Tampa Bay. And I think Justin Fields can have a good day passing the ball because Tampa Bay's passing defense has not really played all that great. That's, at the moment anyway, that's their big weakness on the defense. But they're not going to be able to run the ball, and that seems to be what the Bears do best, with Herbert. And if Williams comes back off the COVID list, then, they're not going to be able to run the ball all too well. So I expect Tampa Bay to win this game. I do think this is going to be a really good game, though. I'll go to you, Derek. Who do you see in this one?
I have this one as the upset. This is the Bears pulling a fast one on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, we saw it. Yeah. What was it? A year? Yeah, we saw it last year. Tom Brady with that infamous, I forgot what play it was. Yeah. What down it was. I think that we see the Bears pull up the upset of the week. That's the Bears for you. Okay.
Now we'll go to Sam. Who do you see winning this one and why?
We might need to keep up with those picks because Derek's definitely going to lose that one. We're going to get a point on him for that one. I'm taking Tampa Bay. They should cover to it. It's 12.5. This 4 o'clock window games is actually kind of pitiful. If we're looking at the Rams, Cardinals, and Bucks game, I don't think any 3 of those are going to be close at any point. As a proud Tom Brady fantasy football owner, I hope he throws another 4 touchdowns this week. It'd be like the 5th week or this year he's thrown 4 touchdowns. So, yeah, I'm going to take Tampa. They have really, really started playing a lot better. Honestly, if the game was close last week, they probably would have scored another 30 points last week. So, give me Tampa Bay in a blowout.
Okay. And then we'll move on to the Monday Night Football game next, and then we'll get into the big game last. We got the Saints going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Will we see Jacob Eason play? Because Geno Smith is playing terrible in that game. We'll find out. I'll go to you, Derek. Who do you see winning this one and why?
Well, I mean, if I had Russell Wilson playing in this game, then I would have easily picked the Seahawks. Give me the Saints. The Saints have been, a more dynamic team in a multitude of different ways. I just think right now the Seahawks offense is going to struggle still. I just think the Saints will win it.
Okay. Now I'll move on to Sam. Who do you have winning this one and why?
Man, the Saints are just a tough team to figure out. One week, they blew out the Packers week 1, and then they had a pretty bad loss a couple weeks ago. And then they took care of business in Washington. I'm going to go Seattle. I'm going to go with the home team here. I think the 12s are going to make a difference. I think Jameis Winston is going to go back to his old form of throwing some bad interceptions. I think Seattle's defense is going to find a way to get them into good field position, and they're going to be able to result in points because the Saints defense is not as great as it used to be. So give me Seattle. Give me the home underdog. I'm going to take the Seahawks.
I do agree with Derek that if I saw Russell Wilson was playing today, I would have taken Seattle because the Saints, I don't think they're that great of a team. I think it's going to be a matter of time before they actually move on from Jameis Winston. I can see that happening after this year, and I think the guy they're going to go with is former Irish Ian Book. They apparently love what they have with Ian Book. He's very Drew Brees-like, is how Sean Payton's talking, just with size and just how he plays. If they really like him that much, I think they're going to go with him and move on from Jameis. We'll find out, obviously, if he's just saying that to be nice or if he actually does mean it. But since Russell Wilson is not playing in this game, I got to go with the Saints. I think that it's going to be a close game. It should be a fun game. But I don't think Geno Smith is going to do well enough to where they win this game. I actually think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's probably going to be like a, maybe 17-14, maybe even lower than that. So give me the Saints. Close game, but I think they edge it out. But now we're going to move on to the game that matters. No other game this week matters at all besides like the Chiefs game. That's the only one that matters as well. We got the Indianapolis Colts traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers on Sunday night. I'm going to go to you first, Sam. How do you see this one playing out?
Ooh, put me on the spot first. It's going to be interesting. These teams could not be any more similar. Just the way that they have gone throughout their year, the way they're constructed. I really think there's going to be two key factors in this game. I think the red zone is going to be a big factor. The 49ers have scored touchdowns 90% of the time when they've reached the red zone this year. The only time was when it was 2 weeks ago, would have been 2 weeks ago. Trey Lance got stopped at the 1 yard line on fourth down. So they have basically scored a touchdown 100% of the time they've gotten inside the red zone. And of course, we know the issues with the Indianapolis Colts offense in the red zone. So I think whatever team wins the red zone battle, I think that's going to be a big key. And then obviously the quarterback play. The weather is going to be absolutely terrible Sunday night. It's going to be a torrential downpour. So obviously the running offenses is going to be a big key. But which quarterback can make the 3 to 5 key throws, third down, 2-minute drill, fourth down? Which quarterback can make those 3 to 5 key throws to get their team in position to win the game? And I'm going to take the Colts because I think the Colts have the better quarterback. I think they've got the better run defense, and I think they're going to find a way. Carson's going to find a way to make those 3 to 5 throws to put the Colts in position to win this game.
Okay. Now we're going to go to Derek. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I think that Sam hit it on the head there with, Carson Wentz and Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, who would you rather take right now? Right now, there's still a lot of San Francisco 49ers fans who wouldn't even want Jimmy G playing right now. They prefer it be Trey Lance. Obviously, they really can't right now because of the fact of him being injured. But Jimmy G, not 100% right now, even though he's looked decent in practice, not 100%. Carson Wentz is 100% and, has been one of the more efficient quarterbacks in the league so far this year and, not turning the ball over. And that's something that even with the struggles that we've had on defense, I think that that's something the Colts can still take advantage of. For me, it all comes down to the trenches. The trenches is going to be the biggest thing here. Both offensive lines are going to need to tell the story here. The 49ers, we know, have a tremendous offensive line. And Trent Williams, that massive left tackle of theirs, just an absolute beast. We know the Colts running game has gotten a lot better over the last few weeks. And, say what you want about Eric Fisher and the way he's played. He's been pretty good in the run blocking department, along with Chris Reed. And we might get Quentin Nelson back for this game. And obviously with Jonathan Taylor now hitting his peak right now, I mean, the Colts offense running the ball has been very good over the last few days. And, like you said, I trust Carson to make more of those check down throws, especially with the group of running backs that you have to be able to make plays like that. I think that we can exploit that in a couple different ways. I just think the Colts have a little bit more explosive offensive power. That helps. Obviously, the San Francisco 49ers have a way better defensive line than we do. But at the same time, I don't think their defensive line is going to dominate our offensive line. They'll probably beat us a couple times, but I think we'll still be able to counteract it. Expect it to be a low-scoring game, but I do think with how the Colts have handled the offense in the 2-minute drills and being in crunch time, if the offense has to keep it in their hands, I trust Carson Wentz to make those plays. I'll go Colts with a close one. I'd say 20-17.
Okay. I think this is definitely going to be a run-heavy game for both sides. With Jimmy Garoppolo not being 100%, still, somewhat hurt. I think they're going to run the ball as much as they can. And I see Jonathan Taylor getting another 15 to 20 carries. I think Marlon Mack is going to be used probably about the same as he has the last couple weeks, probably getting about 5 carries. I think Hines is going to probably get some touches as well. But I do think it's going to come down to the quarterback and which one's going to play better. To me, just with what we've seen this year, I have all the faith in the world in Carson Wentz, where he can go up against a team with a really good secondary. I mean, we look at Miami, which, Miami's defense wasn't all too great, but, they had 2 really good corners there with Byron Jones and with Xavier Howard. And then obviously Jalen Ramsey. We didn't hear Jalen Ramsey's name at all in the game. The only time we really heard him when Carson Wentz was out there was when Jalen Ramsey was trying to cause a fight. I can't remember with who, but he was, running his mouth, and I think it was Jonathan Taylor. And it was like, dude, you got stiff-armed. Okay, just be quiet. But no, I have all the faith in the world in Carson at this point. I think he's going to get better and better as each week goes on. And if he's playing as well as he is right now, but he's still going to get better, then to me, that's scary with what he can do. He went against the Ravens. He showed that if he needs to pass the ball, he can do that. He tore it up against the Ravens, who shut down Justin Herbert the following week. So I'll take the Colts in this one. I think they're going to win. Give me 27-21. I think they're going to win this game. I don't think, we're going to be worried as we get close to the end of the game. I think, we'll be perfectly fine. We're not going to be like, in the Ravens game where Baltimore was just driving down the field consistently doing their thing. I don't think we're going to be worried at all in this one. I think this is a statement win for the Colts. They need to have that on prime time. Carson's going to have another really good game as well. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to break another 150-yard run in this game. So, give me Colts in this one. And that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody that hopped in to watch the stream. Does mean a lot that you guys join. And thank you, Derek and Sam, for joining the show. It means a lot that you guys would come on the show. I'm going to go around, kind of let everybody know where they can find you. So, Derek, I'll let you go first. Where can the people find you?
Well, obviously, if you follow Matt, then that he helps me with my podcast, Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Make sure you guys follow us. We're on anywhere that you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere. You guys can also find me on Twitter at Derek_larger.
All right. And then we're going to go to Sam. Sam, where can the people find you at?
Well, if you guys are readers, you can go to rosterguy.com. I do basically daily content, and it's all written. So I've got a few things up about the 49ers this week. And, of course, I've written a few things about what's wrong with the Colts offense, what's wrong with the defense, what's wrong with the team, period. So just a lot of different type of written content if you guys are readers. And, of course, you can find me on Twitter at SamSinclair96. I tweet basically during the game all the time. So that's where you can find me at.
All right. And then, of course, if you want to find me, you found me, guys. Hey, here we are on the channel. You can find me here. Also, I should promote my Twitter more often. I don't really talk about it at all. Twitter is probably important to promote and try to get people on. But Horseshoe_pod, that's the Twitter that you can find me on. So if you guys will, use Twitter, whether you're watching live or you're watching later, follow me there. Follow everybody where they told you to find them at if you haven't followed them there already. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it would be awesome if you would do so. We're on the road to 500 subscribers right now. We are 34 away. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content enough to join this journey to get to 500. Comment below. If you're watching this later, kind of give your thoughts as you're listening to the stream. Like the stream if you like it, all that good stuff. So for Derek and Sam and for myself, thank you all for tuning in. Bleed Blue. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.